Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Pastor's Corner. Thank you for all your support, your prayers, everything that you do for us here. Hope that your week was blessed. I'd like to just invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't mind. Like, comment, all those good things. We're going to go to the book of James, chapter 1, starting with the 12th verse. James 1 and verse 12 to verse 15. And it reads, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God." God's the one that's tempted me. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. God does not tempt us. But every man is tempted, temptation comes, when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. It's talking about the carnality, when we draw to the carnality. Then when lust has conceived, when lust is born, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, it brings forth death. There's a lot there in that last part. I'm not going to drill down on that last part. I did want to read it so that we see the whole picture of this. But I do want to focus on enduring temptation, but enduring many things, not just temptation, but as this reads, enduring temptation. And I love the part, of course, that the crown of life is stored up for those that endure and love God. I don't want this to come across as that we're earning God's love, because that's not what it's saying. We're not earning God's love, but that we love God. And because we love God, we will love his appearing, we will love to see him, but also we will strive to endure. What is it to endure? To persevere, to press through, to overcome. When we become weary, we become tired, but we keep pressing, we keep pushing forward. We as a group are in the midst of a 21-day fast right now. And I know there is varying opinions on fasting and how it's approached, how it's viewed, how it is applied, meaning how people may engage into fasting and may not engage into fasting. I get it. I understand that it's not something that everybody's going to look and say, "Yay, we're fasting," and understanding to put ourselves through that. In other words, it's on our own accord. We're not forced to. And I understand how many people will rebel or reject or push back on it. But I do want us to get the part that we don't do it so God will love us more, because his love is perfect. If it caused God to love us more, then he would not be perfect. I hope that doesn't come across too deep there, because his love is complete. It's perfect towards us. But we fast, of course, to put our flesh under subjection. We put our flesh, we rein it in. As it talks here about lust. Well, lust comes from the flesh. It comes from carnality. And lust will draw us into temptations. Now, I know when we hear the word temptation, we think of grievous sins, grievous missteps. And I think that's our nature to think of the extremes, which the extremes can be on the table. But I say it this way: I'm tempted to worry. I'm tempted to have fear. I'm tempted to have anxiety. I'm not trying to water down more grievous sins, but I'm just talking about how we may not view those things. For the Bible says, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. But how we can find ourselves tempted to fear, to have anxiety, to where we can be tempted to feel sorry for ourselves. We could be tempted to say it's not fair. We can be tempted to react to somebody mistreating us or saying something rude to us. All these things to me are temptations. They're temptations. We're tempted to respond to things. We're tempted to be lazy. We're tempted to be selfish. There's different forms of temptations. So what do I talk about enduring then? So what fasting helps us with, it helps us with the ability to endure. So to be realistic, there's only two that know that we're really fasting. Yes, we could talk about it and we could be around each other and watch each other. But to truly fast, there's only two that will know, yourself and God, myself and God. Because we can not sit at the dinner table and appear to be fasting. In reality, we're not fasting. Because fasting isn't just, let's say, abstaining from food or from pleasures of taking in different types of things. I could say nutrients, but so many times we don't eat for nutrients. We eat for the pleasure of food. So we are fasting away from the pleasures of food, the pleasures of it. That's the big part of fasting, is to abstain from that pleasure. We can get a different pleasure from eating things that we wouldn't get pleasure from when we're not fasting. That may not make sense, but how many people are craving, let's say, a plate of vegetables? No, I mean, we like other things, I think, most of us. But when you're fasting, it's like, give me some carrot sticks, give me some celery, give me some vegetable soup, these different things. I can go on with that. But that we are abstaining from the pleasures of food, the things that for some reason our body is tempted to eat, processed food, sweets, fried foods. These are things that's why when you go to the fair, if you go to the fair like the state fair or amusement park or something like that, there's usually not a booth or a food truck or food trailer that's selling carrots and celery. They're going to sell. I don't know why this came across my feed yesterday, but they had taken, and I watched it. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I did. Where they took a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then they covered it in this batter, and then they deep fried it. They deep fried the peanut butter and jelly sandwich in batter, and then they brought it out in the clip, and then they cut it open and they showed it. I can't eat peanut butter, so my body doesn't do peanut butter, but it did look enticing. I couldn't eat it because of the peanut butter. Not to say I would anyways, but it looked like it would taste good. It did look like it tastes good. But that's what you'll find at the state fair. You know, the things that you're going to get, or let's say a food court or a carnival or some gathering. That's what you'll find. And for some reason, that's what this flesh draws to. It draws to those types of things. And we all have different, if I can say, flavors, views. When we went to Africa, me and my wife, one of the things that I noticed that their sweets are not sweet like ours. Their cakes taste more like what would be like our bread. Something that would be viewed like as a dessert would be the way that cornbread would taste to us here in the United States. Like they served us some cake, and there's no frosting. It's just the cake, no frosting, and then the cake doesn't have the sweetness that we're used to here. And we had various desserts like that, and none of them had the sweetness that we have here in the United States. Sweets and desserts is not like we do here. Like when we have celebrations, our holidays, you know what it's like, those of you that live here in the United States: pumpkin pie, pecan pie, apple pie, cookies, chocolate cakes, all those things that were laid out on a table, and they're sweet. As I've gotten older, I don't like things as sweet as I did in my younger days. And I'm not going to say I don't like sweets, because I do, but I don't like them as sweet as I used to. My palate's changed that way. But we all have our different preferences, and we could sit there and say, what would you prefer? And how sometimes you throw us around oatmeal cookie or a chocolate chip cookie, how it goes. You know how it goes. But we all have a different desire for these different things, and I can go deep into that. You know what that is, and we can go back and forth like that. But that's what this outside of our flesh, it likes those things. It does, and I'm not saying I don't take those in, because I do. I do, to the best of my ability, look to control and moderate what I do take in. I do that, but I don't totally not ever do sweets or different things. I won't get into my whole menu that I take in or don't take in. But abstaining from that, and abstaining from certain entertainment and certain things, part of the fasting. And part of the fasting is also not just abstaining from food and certain entertainment, but also abstaining from reacting the wrong way. Now, we should be that way all the time, even when we're not fasting, but fasting helps us with that also, because it reels us in a lot of ways. It reels in our flesh, it reels in our mind. What I mean, it brings it in, it reins it in, it pulls it back, and we regroup, we take inventory, we reevaluate our priorities. And it's also, I liken to changing the oil on your vehicle. And you put that oil in, and it's nice and clean, and it's fresh. You know what it looks like when it has more of the brown tan look to it. Looks like syrup, if I could say it that way. But then when they drain it, if you ever see it, it's just super black, just really black. It still is oil, and they actually will take it and they'll refine it again. But you can't keep it in your engine. If you keep it in your engine will eventually, it won't work any longer. It'll seize. It's called seize, and it'll leave a mess inside of your engine. Also, it hardens up all over the insides of your engine. I'm getting a little detailed there, but that's what happens with us when we don't fast. There's buildups in our intestines and inside of us that need to be taken out. And how it gets taken out is through fasting. Fasting helps to clean us inside of us, things that we don't realize need to be cleaned. But what it's doing for us individually, as I get back to just me and God know, and you and God know, when you're in a fast or fasting, that you are actually fasting, that it teaches me, it teaches you how to endure, how to press forward. But not only does it teach us, it shows us, it proves to us. When down the road you are climbing a mountain, you are going through a trial, you're going through situation in your life, you can reflect back and say, I powered through my fasting. I know I can power through this. I, I, I know within myself, I have confidence that I can press through this challenge in my life that is I'm up against, because I went through these periods of training and going through fasting. I'm not saying we earn our salvation. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm going to give a sports analogy there. I started playing soccer at a very young age. I started playing sports at a very young age, baseball, basketball. But the reason I bring up soccer is because soccer, you run a lot. In other countries, they call it football. We call football something else, American football. But we call it soccer. They call it football. But there's a lot of running. There's a lot of running in soccer. And when you begin to run at a young age, then some of you would know what this like. You get this pain in your side. You get this pain. There's a pain there that comes on you when you push yourself and you run. Well, what happens is a lot of people, when they get that pain, they stop. They quit. They go to the side because they think something is wrong. Which I understand that it can make you think, why does my side hurt? Well, at a very young age, when I experienced that, I never even said anything. And I don't know why I did that. I didn't say anything. I didn't ask. I just pressed through. And then what would happen is the pain would go away, and then you go into another level. You go into another level. And it actually becomes easier. It becomes easier. And then once you pass that, I would just go and go and go. When I played soccer, I never came off the field. I never even looked to the sideline to come off. I stayed on the field the whole time. I can't even remember ever coming out of a game, and I pushed through and powered through those side aches, and then I would just be in the zone. And then I carried that into my adolescence. I carried that into my young age. I carry that now today, that I understand what that is, and to just be able to go. My muscles fatigue a lot easier today. They give out on me easier, my muscles do. But that wind in me, my lungs, it still stays there. It's still that endurance of the cardio is still available even at an older age. Cardio is still available at an older age. The muscles aren't as strong because they begin to deteriorate, of course. It's called aging, but you can still have great cardio. Cardio can stay with you till you leave. Eventually, yeah, if you can't move too much, you're going to lose your cardio. When they test my resting heart rate, and they test yours, that sometimes that a doctor that doesn't know who I am or something happens and they check it, they're always like, why is your heart rate so low? And some of them will understand. It comes from all those years of what I did with my life. So at my lowest, my resting heart rate, so in the 40s, which is very unusual. Yes, there's people that run a lot, the marathon runners and all that, their resting heart rate is like, I believe that Lance Armstrong, the bicyclist, was like 27, which is a crazy. That's less than one beat every 2 seconds, which most people are probably 60, 70, maybe even 80. You would know yours. But normally when I get a checkup or something, it's normally around 50, 55, right in there. And that's when my heart's already going. But in a sleeping phase, it's going to be really low. But it comes from all those years of me enduring and pushing and pressing through the side pain, enduring it, which I didn't have this amount of understanding at all All I understood is I'm on the field, I'm going to push through, I'm going to press through, I'm going to fight. That I just understood that, and I want to win the game. I didn't understand cardio. I didn't understand uh, uh, heart rate. I didn't understand any of that. I didn't even know the term cardio. But what it did is I would know that I can enter a game and I could go. And what fasting does, it builds up our spiritual cardio and helps us that when we go through hard times, because it's one of those things that I'll tell you you're gonna have. You're gonna have storms. You're gonna have hard times, and so am I. I'm gonna have storms. I'm gonna have hard times. You're gonna have hard times. You're gonna have challenges. I'm gonna have challenges. There's nowhere on this earth that we can go that we don't have hard times and challenges. What we don't want to be is our own enemy and make our life worse. We don't want to do that. But when fasting is applied to our life and we go through those things, it'll help us to be, I've endured this. I've endured it. I've gone through some fasting stages that if you would have told me that I was going to do that, I would say no way that I was going to do that. And I like watching my wife as she powers through long water fasts, and my children as they fast in their adulthood. They'll bring up stories that they fasted as when they were young, not 5 and 6, but in junior high and high school, they'll remember those days. They'll remember our weekly fast. And we discussed that, but I like watching that because it proves to them that they could do it. But I enjoy watching them climb that mountain as they go up that mountain of powering through that temptation. And I have I'll call it a habitual fasting. I fast once a week. It's something that I've been doing for a long time. Now it's routine. You may say it, call that a religion. It's not religion. I know what the benefits it does. I know all the things. I don't want to get too much into that. But what it does do for me to relate to you is it helps me when I go through other things. And that's why I'm relaying this to you. That I'm not telling you to go on a log water fast. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm just telling you the benefits of enduring. And it just doesn't have to be, maybe you're not physically in a position to water fast. And I understand that. Not everybody is, but those that can. But there's other ways that one can fast other than just water fasting. But somebody that's younger, 20s, 30s, 40s, they should be able to water fast and help them, because what's going to happen is life's going to happen. Storms are going to happen. And you watch this as I begin to put a bow on this. When things get tough, when things get rough, when things get challenging, and you know that there are people that when it gets that way, they're going to lose control. They're going to lose control. They don't have the ability to have self-control. They don't have the ability to endure and pull themselves back. And it's because they didn't press through the side ache. When the side ache came, the pain in the side, they gave up. So what happens when life punches them, their give up is to have a blow up, to lose control, to go down, like fall down. Now, I have fainted. I have passed out numerous times for various reasons. And so I know what it is to physically faint. I know what that is. I know what that's like. And I think you probably have experienced this where something happens in your life and you feel like you got literally like punched in the gut, like it hit you physically. And you may feel a little wobbly, maybe your ears even ring. Your ears ring and you get foggy. And it's like, okay, this is hitting me. This is hitting me. what am I going to do? And you take that breath and you power through. Or, as I've told men, take a knee if you have to. Take a knee. What does that mean? You take a knee to gather your strength up so you don't faint. And that would come like you're getting fatigued physically. You take a knee to gather your breath, but not to quit, not to give up, but take a knee. And if you could keep standing, then stand. I happened to see this. There was this plane crash in the 70s, a well-known plane crash. I'm trying to think. I think it was in Portugal. It was over there in that part of the world. The plane crash. It was snowy. They were stuck in the snow. I believe it was 70-something days, but they were there for a long period of time. I won't get into all the gruesome details. But they were rugby players. I'm trying to remember rugby players, and they were going to a game. They didn't make it. The plane crashed. The pilots died. There was about 16 that survived, 17, 18, right in there. The other half had died, or some of them died within those first few weeks. And two of them had to walk across the mountains without any supplies, nothing, in the snow, climbing mountains. And I believe that they hiked the mountains in the snow for like 3 days. And eventually they got past all the snow and down towards a river, and there was a rancher with a horse on the other side of a river, and they had something that they were able to ride on and put up a thing and said that they were from that plane crash. And then the rancher went and got help. But these two men they're alive today. One of them's a medical doctor today. He's a medical doctor. He was a young man then. I actually believe he's a heart doctor, a cardiologist, I believe. But that they had to endure those 3 days walking in the snow, in the cold, to go through, and then to send help for the other men. That the ones that were still alive were alive when they got there with the helicopters, and they survived. But these men had to endure. They had to endure the snow. They had to endure the cold. They had to endure the pain. They had to power through. And somewhere in them, it was in them to power through. That's when we fast. It teaches us, it trains us to endure not just food, but other things, enduring temptation. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. You will receive the crown of life. The crown of life is enough for us to do this. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. Thank you for your love, your support, and your prayers. If you'd like to bless us financially, there's some ways there that you could see on the screen that you can bless us financially. If you're unable to do that, we ask you to pray for us, and we pray for you. If we don't know who you are, I just say God bless those that are viewing this. If you do engage somehow, subscribe or comment, then we know who you are to pray for you. But we desire to pray for one another. We will be back here in person, 1363 South Vineyard, Mesa, Arizona. Arizona time, 85210, 12 o'clock Arizona time, noon, 1363 South Vineyard in Mesa. Thank you for being with us, and have a blessed Sunday.